Good afternoon. My name is Xander Gamble. I'm the Vice President of Membership and Outreach here at TCA. Uh, Coming at you live from the World TCA headquarters in Alexandria, Virginia. I'm joined by here with Dave Heller, our Senior VP of Safety and Government Affairs, and Amanda Pearson, who is our TPP facilitator, who's based in our main office. So glad you guys are here. We're happy you're here. We're going to spend the next 30 minutes or so talking about TCA membership and how you all can get engaged and be part of our group. Um, we want you guys to be conversational, ask some questions, and everything that we review today is at truckload.org. So keep that in mind, truckload.org. And at the end of this presentation, we will have contact information for the three of us, so please reach out with any additional questions or whatnot, and we'll be happy to respond. And I guess before we get started and dive into all the different programs and whatnot, I've been at TCA for I think 7 years now, and working in membership in some other fields. And we always ask people why they join or why they're engaged. And a lot of people might join TCA because they want to be part of Amanda's TPP profitability program, or they really appreciate what Dave and his team does with government affairs, or some simply love the networking that they have at events and the community that's built along the truckload base. So a lot of different things. And we do a lot of awards campaigns and image campaigns that resonate with our members, and it kind of runs the full gamut there. And hopefully you all will see something you like more than just one thing. And we encourage you to let us know, and we'll steer you in that right direction, whether it's education or an events, or maybe participating in an image campaign program. But we want to kind of cater to what you like. So with that said, I'll kind of get started. And um, one thing again with membership is, and TC as a whole, we basically have 5 pillars of membership. And Dave Williams with Knight Swift was our chairman a few years ago, and kind of came up with these 5 bullet points that kind of summarize kind of all we do at TCA, and kind of what we're geared on. And that's improving the driver's job, increasing carrier profitability, enhancing highway safety, advocating for reasonable and practical sustainability. And of course, we want to promote a positive image of the industry, the drivers and the fleets that are out there. And again, that kind of drives all that we do here at TCA. And you'll see that as we go through all this different information today for y'all. And I wanted to start with our education programs. And our director of education, Elizabeth Nicholson, could not make it today, so I'm kind of pinch hitting for her. But she's done a great job of working with our new LMS system, upgrading our certificate programs, upgrading some online modules, which I'll talk about. And I wanted to kick it off because this is an area where you can engage right away. There's no timeline for nominations, or you don't have to wait for an event. If you join TCA or you're a member, you can participate in these programs right away. And this is kind of strength of TCA. Mentioned just quickly earlier about the online learning center. We invested in a new LMS a few years ago. It's very intuitive. As a manager, you can track your team's performance and their progress as they make their way through these different modules. It's very mobile friendly, and it's a really good platform for us to present to you all. So and I know this slide looks a little scary, but it kind of summarizes all the educational pieces that we offer. And I'll get into the live meetings a little bit later. But of course, with the live meetings, we offer subject matter experts on panelists with keynote speakers and whatnot. But we also offer a lot more than that on the education side, especially with the LMS. Um, we talked about we've got the live webinars. Of course, you've seen those that are sponsored and not sponsored. We've got a lot of recorded webinars on the LMS system. Elizabeth has launched a few new online modules, and one of them is called the Fundamentals of Safety Management. Hopefully you guys have seen that, but it's basically a course for safety professionals early in their career to give them some exposure to all things safety. And there's 10 modules. There's an introduction to FMCSA. It does an explanation of the hours of service. There's a piece on driver dispatch. There's a safety culture piece. There's a driver orientation piece. But this is something that was launched last year that we're really proud of, and I hope you and your team check that out. Elizabeth also launched our online leadership series. It's a kind of a virtual session. There's 7 sessions, and I think we're right in the middle of, I think we've had 3 so far. And these are subject matter experts that have come together to talk about issues such as AI, predatory towing, cybersecurity, There's one on a legal overview, and there's one on RPA, which stands for robotic process automation. Also want to talk a little bit about the certificates that TCA offers. Um, they're not accredited, but they're TCA certificates, and we'll get to the accredited ones, but we offer ones for fleet manager, for HR, recruiting and retention. Um, and on the accredited side, I think most of you should hopefully know that TCA owns NATME, and Dave's going to talk a little bit about the NATME certificates that we offer. But the NATME certificates are accredited by the University of Denver. We continue to expand on those certificates and roll them out to a lot of different state associations and some other platforms that provide this training, which again, Dave will get to. And then Amanda will talk about our TPP program in the best practice groups, and also the Small Care University, which again all comes underneath the education umbrella. So with that said, Dave, you want to talk a little more about NATME, please?
Sure will, Xander, and thank you. That's a good segue and way to kind of give it that introduction, if you will. If this was a live in-person meeting right now, this would be that opportunity where I would ask everybody, hey, who has heard of NATME? And is everyone aware of the TCA relationship with NATME? In fact, NATME itself is a child company of TCA's and one in which we wholeheartedly embrace as we start rolling out in what is our rather vibrant educational platform. And NATME is just a great addition to that. It offers certifications at just about every level: security professional, maintenance equipment, safety, driver trainer, safety supervisor, supervisor of maintenance equipment. And that director of safety certification even extends to a Canadian own. As Xander stated at the beginning of this webinar, this is TCA's worldwide headquarters, and there's a reason why we call it that, is because we're an international association and we focus on both U.S. regulations, Canadian regulations, specifically through NATME, and the certifications that go with it. Our certifications are obviously accredited through the University of Denver, but this allows you and your staff to get educated on important issues that pertain to the industry and the fields in which you work in, and go that route so you can obtain those letters behind your name. Of course, many of them have prerequisites that go with it, which means experience in the field in terms of years. Like, for instance, the certified safety supervisor has a 2-year prerequisite. Certified director of safety has a 4 to 5 year prerequisite to go with it in order to be eligible to get those certifications. And these can be done through NATME directly related classes, classes that are held at state associations. I think they're incorporated with approximately 36 state associations across the country, as well as institutions in Canada, such as KRTS, and several insurance providers out there also offer this training. So I don't think you can throw a rock out in our industry educational field without hitting a NATME class where there's opportunity for you and your staff to learn more and get more involved in the fields that they're working with, whether it's maintenance, equipment, safety, driver trainer, safety supervisor, and get that certification with those letters behind the name to show that your staff has that experience, knowledge, and understanding of what it takes in this industry to be considered a professional. So it's an opportunity to really take advantage of what they can know in terms of going down that road. So it's a great chance. We urge you to take advantage of NATME's courses. And as Jeff McKinney just pointed out, insurance carriers do recommend this certification to their clients as well. So it's one of those opportunities in terms of looking at your insurance provider, have a conversation with them about what they think NATME is. I know there's a lot of insurance providers out there that will endorse the NATME certification, whether that's certified director of safety, certified safety supervisor, the maintenance equipment, the driver trainer, if you will. All of these things certainly have an impact in our industry as a whole, and one of those things that we as carriers or as carriers members, you should be taking advantage of.
And I would add, Dave, too, that as a TCA member, we do give discounts to the NATME certificate. So added benefit for being a member TCA.
Excellent point. But yep, thank you. And again, if you don't know about NATME, I encourage you to look into it. Contact me, contact Jeff Arnold at our NATME Denver office. But let us know. We'll happily walk you through the steps.
All right, Amanda, can you talk a little bit about our TCA profitability program and then Small Care University?
Yeah, absolutely. So TCA profitability program has been up and running for 22, almost 23 years now. We have over 120 carriers participating in groups. Some carriers participate in more than one group, but our groups are actually built by mode. So we work with van, reefer, flatbed, bulk, and brokerage. And there's two approaches to the profitability program. One is the monthly composite. So every month, carriers submit data through an import sheet through our carrier portal, and they receive a composite. And within that group composite, they see their KPIs and how they stack up against the KPIs of others in their group, as well as averages from the other groups. And then the other piece of our profitability program are the meetings. And our groups meet 2 to 3 times a year. Everything is member driven. So we do a day and a half to 2 days deep dive on a specific topic, again, chosen by the group. So we're getting ready for our fall meetings, and some of those topics include safety. They might include, we're doing a data integrity topic, but we will spend, again, a day and a half talking about processes that drive our profitability. And what we do is we lean into the carriers who are really strong in that area. We ask them to share what they do, how they do it, how they got there. It gives an opportunity for other carriers in the group to ask questions, to dig into what their processes look like, how things might be different. And our TPP program is open to TCA members. You have to be a member to join. And we do have availability to join all modes. So if you're interested in joining a group, definitely reach out and we can look to find a fit for you in that as well. And then the other side of our education program for carriers is Small Carrier University. We grew this program because there's carriers with 100 trucks or less who are looking for something similar to TPP. But for various reasons, TPP wasn't a great fit. So we developed Small Carrier University. And again, there's a two-pronged approach. Elizabeth Nicholson created an amazing online platform through the LMS system, which gives you and your company access to dozens, if not, definitely dozens of different online courses, webinars, and whatnot that folks within your company have access to. And then the other side of that is we meet as a group about every 6 weeks on a specific topic. So for example, our last meeting was on operations, and we did a deep dive as a group virtually, what the operations team looked like, what your goals are, how to build things if you're looking for growth. Definitely shared what every carrier's struggle was and what they were trying to do moving forward. But our next one will work on safety, we'll work on culture, but we'll spend time talking about all of those topics from a small carrier approach, because we all know carriers with less than 100 trucks need to approach things a little bit differently than our larger carriers for sure. So those are our two opportunities for benchmarking and that carrier work, if you will, throughout TCA.
And Amanda, isn't there an opportunity for some of these small carriers that are participating in the university to upgrade to become a TPP member in the future? Is that
Yeah,
kind of a possibility?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's a good opportunity to see if you like the format, if this type of work is helpful in your organization. Last year's class, we actually had 2 carriers go from that class and were able to join as members of the TPP program. But yeah, exactly. It's a good way to kind of dip your toe in it and see if you like it before you make the commitment to an actual TPP group.
Excellent. Thank you, Amanda. And Dave, you want to take back the helm and talk about government affairs and all you guys do?
I can,
Yeah.
and Xander, to echo your statements, one of the main reasons people join the association or join TCA is so that their viewpoints can be reflective in what's going on in Washington, D.C., up on Capitol Hill, within the Trump administration or any presidential administration, to make sure that those that are sitting in the seats that regulate, that legislate, understand what trucking does on a daily basis. So in saying that, let's focus on some of the things that are going on right now. And without this being a whole encompassing regulatory update, let's hit that next slide real quick, Xander. Let's talk about some priority issues of recent wins in which TCA in and of itself is focusing on or it continues to have discussions about. Of course, I think everybody knows the victory with advanced clean trucks and the omnibus low NOx rule, in which we were successful in getting pushed back because the administration had listened to TCA and the stories that we were telling. And by the stories we're telling comes from information that we get from you as members. So when you become a member of TCA, this is that opportunity for you to chime in and contact me and have conversations with me so that we have the opportunity to vocalize what our membership is dealing with on a daily basis. So on something like the ACT rule or the omnibus low NOx rule, certainly it emphasized that the deadlines that were placed on this industry came well in advance of whether or not this equipment actually really worked. And the administration listened to us, listened to our participation in the Clean Freight Coalition, and understood our story and the facts that went around it, and basically abandoned these rules for the time being so that we can continue operating in an industry that focuses on delivering freight, not focusing on having electric vehicles out there and how we were going to get that model to adapt. Of course, GHG3 is kind of that next domino to fall through EPA. We're expecting that to happen sometime soon. This is one of those issues that takes that regulatory route, not necessarily the legislative route, which is a little bit slower moving process, but we know right now EPA is currently working on rescinding GHG3 so that we as motor carriers, which is very similar to the advanced clean fleets rule that was in California, very similar to that rule, so that the industry won't have to deal with that nationally at this point in time. I think the independent contractor status goes without saying, and it's been such a tremendous asset and business model that our industry has undertaken for decades. And prior to the Trump administration, many would say was under threat and under attack, if you will. And Donald Trump had come in, and he's automatically instructed the Department of Labor to revert back basically to the Trump 1.0 mantra, in which helps support and protect that independent contractor status. Certainly, we still have to deal with AB5 in California, but federally speaking, you're seeing a tremendous revert back to what it was in Donald Trump 1.0 rather than the Biden economics reality test that has been abandoned and no longer being enforced. So it's one of those issues that industry is paying attention to, industry is talking about, TCA is talking about it on Capitol Hill, and those who legislate, and you're seeing movement in the congressional actions and the presidential executive orders that are being issued recently, which, trust me, there have been a lot of. And to say that the federal government has been active since Donald Trump took office would be a massive understatement when it comes to things that we as an industry want to get out of our federal government in terms of supporting the way we do things. Truck parking, there is a massive expectation that truck parking has language included in the upcoming appropriations bill, and that language would be to the tune of roughly $200 million. Now, is this the cure-all? No, but there's also a bill in Congress that calls for $755 million spread out over 5 years that could be incorporated into the next highway reauthorization. Now, it's important I know, and this is why it's key that you belong to an association that talks about some of these things, because highway reauthorization is one in which those conversations are starting to happen today. So you're starting to see bills that get introduced. It's kind of one of those avenues where let's introduce a bill, throw it at the wall and see if it sticks, because as we get into highway reauthorization, and this is that opportunity to replace that Biden era IIJA, or Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, that will be expiring in September of 2026, which means the current Congress, the current administration, has to get involved and issue what their next highway bill is going to look like. Parts of that are going to include truck parking. Parts of that have to be surrounded by what is going to fund our infrastructure, in which TCA has been very active in talking about what we're calling a gallons-based user fee. And this is that opportunity to increase the fees that we all pay at the pump, whether it's for diesel, whether it's for gasoline, and those fees haven't been increased since 1993. So in other words, it would take 117% increase accounting for inflation to address those changes so that we can get an infrastructure for our drivers that operate on the roads today to have that first-class driving environment that they want, that we expect them to have, and that, quite frankly, government should insist on having. So We're engaging in these talks. You've got reauthorization talks that will really start taking up a full head of steam after the August recess. And once August recess ends, you'll see reauthorization talks happening at House T&I, Senate Commerce, Ways and Means, all of these different congressional committees that will start focusing on a major reauthorization platform that for the majority of time is viewed as relatively bipartisan. Now, I understand there's some divisiveness in Congress these days, but there are a lot of issues that everybody can get behind, truck parking being one of them, and certainly funding our roads and bridges has to be a major part of that conversation. So to Xander's point, joining an organization or an association certainly is networking, certainly is education, but at the same point, make no mistake, having a voice on Capitol Hill is one of the paramount most important things that you as a member can do and be reflective of your membership here at TCA. Let's take that next slide. Kind of talking about some of the things that, how you can be informed on what's important. You know, here's the way we kind of communicate with you when it comes to those issues that matter most. It's important you see, you know, when it comes to breaking news, we'll send emails regarding news on reauthorization or news on GHG3 or news on omnibus low NOx or advanced clean trucks rules. We will send those out as they're breaking. We will put them on social media so that you can stay informed as membership as to how things that are coming out can affect your fleet. We also have a weekly newsletter that is sent out twice a week, and we have a quarterly education newsletter that obviously comes out once a quarter. And more importantly, social media offers the association time to be quick hitting, to send brief messages on something that comes out. And every month we do a capital recap, which is a newsletter to focus on some of the things we've done in the last month on Capitol Hill, as well as a podcast where you'll hear from myself and our manager of government affairs, Haley Betham, as we talk about things like Hill visits or what has come up in those Hill visits or what seems to be trending in what direction on Capitol Hill or at the agency. So this is that opportunity for you as members to stay abreast of what we're dealing with on a daily basis and staying engaged on the issues that are relevant and timely and talked about right now. So it's a great opportunity for you to stay informed because these are the avenues that we want to expose you to. Next slide. It goes without saying, everybody on this webinar today should put this on their calendar, September 29th and 30th, CCA's fall business meetings in Call on Washington. This is that opportunity that we just spoke about. This is that opportunity to tell your story. And the people pictured on the screen here all came into DC last year, and we branched out on Capitol Hill, had over 100 meetings scheduled with our senators and representatives on Capitol Hill to talk about things like electric vehicles, truck parking, hair follicle testing for drugs and alcohol, the importance of the independent contractor business model. These were all discussions that happened just last year. We are doing this again on September 30th, but put this on your calendar. We'd love to have you in town to talk about these issues and go up in Capitol Hill. All the time we hear members who have been to this event talk about how important it is. It's the best event of the year and an opportunity to really get to know your legislators. Also open for Canadian members too, because guess what? They're a very important piece of what we do here at TCA. So if you're Canadian, if you're based in the US, please come into town. We certainly can make a home for you and have some very quality meetings to talk about issues that are important to you. Next slide.
Yeah, and I would add, Dave, not only are you the VP of Government Affairs, you're VP of Safety, and Dave's going to talk next about a lot of our safety initiatives. And you know, I should have said earlier, but we wear a lot of different hats, and Dave wears the hats of Government Affairs, Safety. He works with the events team for the annual convention, and just wanted to transition to you, Dave, here for the safety piece.
Yeah, and it's important to note that, you know, safety is paramount to everything we do in our industry, and as part of that, we can't miss a beat in highlighting the things safety-wise that our members do. For instance, the Fleet Safety Awards gives us that opportunity to have our carriers basically submit their safety history over the last year and be placed into different categories to see where they stand and be benchmarked against other members in the industry in terms of fleet vehicle accident ratios. We highlight the top 18 carriers at our annual convention and again at our safety and security division meeting, and name our safety professional of the year at that safety and security division meeting, which next year will be in Oklahoma City, I believe June 7th through 9th. So put that on your calendar as well. But it's important to note that we highlight the things that we as an industry are doing safety wise and continue to do. And these programs that I encourage you to put your carrier into allows that opportunity to do exactly that. So put the Safety and Security Division meeting on your schedule. We'll be naming a safety professional of the year. We highlight our fleet safety awards at both the annual convention and the Safety and Security Division meeting, and surround yourself with fellow safety professionals that you can glean information from as well, kind of addressing a problem that you have. Somebody else certainly already has that and is addressing it as well. So it's that opportunity to know more from your peers that are involved in these aspects.
All right, thanks, Dave. Continue on with TCA awards and recognitions. Dave talked about the Fleet Safety Awards. We have another awards program called TCA Elite Fleet. This was launched last year in partnership with the University of Denver, and it's basically a recognition program for fleets that provide stellar workplace cultures and a place to work for their drivers. It's based on a detailed company application. There's also a driver survey portion that's involved, and these fleets, I think we recognized 44 of them at the inaugural Elite Fleet ceremony at our annual convention earlier this year in Phoenix, and we'll be doing the same next February, March in Orlando, and the nominations and applications for Elite Fleet will open up in early September. And quickly, we have two driver recognition programs, the TCA Professional Drivers of the Year. We kind of revamped this courtesy of Loves and Cummins, our sponsors, where we gave more money for 5 drivers, actually $20,000 each, where we're looking for drivers who not only have a stellar career of safety and giving back to the community, but also those drivers that have overcome obstacles and have a great story to tell. And I can tell you, it's held during the closing banquet of the annual convention, and there's videos, there's recognition, the drivers speak, and it's a really well-received portion of that night. And of course, we have TCA Highway Angel, where we recognize drivers throughout the course of the year. I think we've been running this program for about 15 years. We've recognized thousands of drivers, again, for doing heroic deeds. And also, we recognize 3 Highway Angels of the Year at our annual convention, and those are based on public voting that happens kind of late in the year for that March convention. So before in the past, I think we had 1 Highway Angel of the Year. We've, through the support of our sponsors, Epic View, Driver Facts, and Northridge Insurance, we're able to recognize 3 Highway Angels of the Year. So that's a huge bonus for the convention. Quickly, we have our Elevate program. That's our young leadership program that kind of got reinvigorated and rebranded just last year. So we had our inaugural class of 15 young leaders under the age of 40 that went through an application process. So we had our class of 2024, our current class of 2025, and they're required to do some educational online modules going back to education. We have some virtual meetings with them on mentorship. We have one coming up with the ATRI group to talk about some of their results. So just kind of bringing some trucking and transportation knowledge awareness to that group. They also come to our safety meeting. They're required to come to our upcoming call in Washington, so they'll get a taste of the visit to Capitol Hill. And it's a really good program, and we'll be opening up applications for the 2026 class, I think in November of this year. And then lastly, we've got our TCA Scholarship Fund. I think this has been around decades as well. It's a fund where we give scholarships to 4-year and now 2-year college students. They're affiliated with TCA members, so you could be a TCA member, company staffer that's getting their undergraduate degree or their 2-year college degree that could apply, or you could be a child or a grandchild or stepchild or step grandchild of a TCA member employee. And I think this year, for the academic year of 2024 and 2025, we awarded, I think, close to 70 scholarships and close to $180,000 worth of money. So it's a big deal. It's open just to TCA members. And I should also go back and say all these programs, you have to be a TCA member to participate in, except for the Highway Angels. So more membership benefits to be had. And Dave, do you want to quickly go through the committees and how members can get involved there?
Yeah, and this becomes that big thing is a lot of members always give me a call and say, Dave, how can we get more involved? How can I get more involved? How can I make this what is supposed to be a 30-minute webinar about what TCA does, how can I make it into an hour-long webinar about what TCA does? And kind of your first basic step is almost always going to be start with TCA committees, right? We talked about where we are on Capitol Hill. We talked about the decisions we make and how to represent the association on Capitol Hill. And that almost always starts with our highway policy, our regulatory policy committee, and our independent contractor practices policy committee to help formulate TCA policy, which shapes the message that Dave Heller and Haley Betham and Jim Ward walk up on Capitol Hill and start talking about. Trust me, this is not me shooting from the hip. This is opinions that I get from members such as you through these committee practices and participation when we meet physically twice a year and could possibly have other in-person calls just like this one when we address specific issues that do come up. So get involved in these policy committees so that we can help shape the messaging we give on Capitol Hill. Additionally, we have other committees in which people can participate in: recruitment, retention, and HR practices, communication and image, which is a lot of things like Wreaths Across America, The Wall That Heals, Driver of the Year, the Elevate program, membership, which talks about things like this. Everything that goes into the development of these committees and the programs that we work in start to be talked about at these committees themselves. We pride ourselves in saying that we're a member-driven organization, and how does members drive us is through the committee process. Get involved in these committees so that you can understand what the association does. And guess what? If there's something you think we may need to do, bring it up at that committee, and that committee will vet it and give us even more direction to make TCA even more robust than ever before. We're onwards and upwards here at TCA, and we're always looking at ways to better our association, and we better our association through input from members. And the one way we can do that is through our committee process that we urge you to get in front of. It goes without saying, we already talked about the Safety and Security Division meeting. We just adjourned from our Refrigerated Division meeting last week in Colorado Springs, but these two events happen annually. Every June and every July, we have our division meetings. Get involved. If you're in temperature controlled, refrigerated transportation, get that meeting on your calendar and go from there. Everybody is involved in safety, so we'd love to see more people at these safety meetings to talk about practices that you may need answers to. This is that opportunity to do that. And also, and Xander, you can probably put a little bit more color to this, but we have our scholarship fund, which is scholarships that are available to TCA member students or students who are involved with TCA member companies, to help alleviate some of the cost of the tuition out there. Trust me, as a parent of a child in college right now, I know those tuition bills get high, but if you're involved and have kids in college, you can apply for a scholarship, which we give out. How many scholarships do we give last year, Xander?
Close to 80.
Close to 80 scholarships.
Almost $180,000. Yeah.
$180,000, 80 scholarships. So every little bit makes a difference, and expose yourselves to the scholarship fund program so that if you have a student that's in college right now, this helps you alleviate, if they're awarded a scholarship, alleviate some of the cost of that tuition, that when you get those tuition bills that you have to pay every August and every winter, certainly every little bit helps. So get involved in that. But again, to answer that question, how do I get involved at TCA? How can I shape what the association does? These committees right here help do exactly that. So get involved in some of these committees. If you need any more information, don't hesitate to give us a call. We'll happily walk you through the process.
Yeah, and I would add, Dave, I work with the communications and image and the membership committee, and kind of a combination of both those committees came up with the Elevate idea. I mean, they wanted to get those young leaders involved and engaged, and we set up task force and made it happen. I mean, if it wasn't for them, that wouldn't have happened. And I know Elizabeth relies on the recruitment, retention, and HR practices group to help look at a lot of her content, whether it's the certificates or some of those online modules, and getting a lot of feedback from those members. And I'm about to jump to events. And I can tell you too, I think all of our events, they're membership driven. For example, we just had our July reefer meeting in Colorado Springs last week, and Elizabeth heads that up, and there's a committee of associate members and for hire carry members that met. They came to TCA offices. I think it was maybe November, December last year. Met, talked about the content, talked about the speakers, the flow, the important subject matter content ideas for the reefer group, and came up with the agenda with Elizabeth's guidance. And September fall business meeting in Collin, Washington. Dave's leading that with that committee. Bridging border barriers. After this call, I have another call with content with some Canadian associate members and carrier members to talk about that November 19th meeting. Dave leads up a committee that takes charge of the annual convention. And so again, very membership driven, and I'm kind of going off script here, but just want to mention that as I list all these different upcoming events. And we hope to see one of these events soon. And again, all the information, there's a QR code you can scan or go to the truckload.org to learn more about it. But I think that might be it. Do we have any questions there, Dave?
We do have one other one that was in talking about call on Washington. Just member Jeff McKinney recommending the call on Washington for every carrier. Thanks, Jeff. I didn't pay him any money for that endorsement for that meeting, but at the same point, again, emphasizing the need for everyone to come into town for the call on Washington. Again, put those dates on your calendar, September 29th and 30th. It's a meeting you won't regret attending. I think you'll get out a lot out of it. It's that opportunity for you to not just represent your carrier and the business you work for, but the industry as a whole, to talk about the issues that really matter. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. And just to conclude, you've got our contact information there. Give us a call, send us an email. I wanted to quickly mention that we recently hired a new membership person, Erica Bledsoe, who just started this week. And we were kind of talking about the title of, what should be her title. And I said, we want someone who's going to get those carriers engaged, get them on board, do the onboarding. And her title is Membership Engagement Manager. So yes, she's in charge of growing sales and growing that membership count, but more importantly, she's involved with getting these carriers and associates engaged. So that's why we want to do this webinar, to get you all engaged. Want you to realize all the benefits that we have to offer, and just really help build your business and build your workforce there at your company. So Dave and Matt, do you have any parting thoughts?
Amanda?
No, I'm all set. I appreciate it. And if you guys have any questions on benchmarking, or if I can help you with any of the networking that goes with our TPP or small carrier university, definitely reach out.
All right.
And Xander, just want to tell everybody, thanks for joining us. We can't thank you enough. And if you have
Yeah.
any questions, please feel free to reach out.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.